Until I moved to Portugal, I'd almost always been in a relationship. I'd never really learned how to be alone. I always had someone to process my day with, regulate with, or even just to focus on instead of focusing on myself. And the truth is, I really needed to be with someone because I was scared of being alone. And I've talked before about how moving to Portugal kind of stripped all of those things away. But what I haven't shared is what came next. What happened after the fear settled down, after I stopped panicking in the silence, and after I had to figure out who I was. So here's what a year of being single and truly alone has actually taught me. First thing, and honestly probably the biggest one, is that I learned to sit with difficult feelings without immediately reaching for someone else close to me to kind of console me or regulate me. I don't actually think there's anything wrong with wanting comfort from someone that you love and that loves you, and that's a really beautiful human thing, but I really think there's a difference between that and codependency. And in the past I have leaned really heavily on my partners. Every difficult emotion became something that I kind of handed over, like, here you go, please fix this, make me feel better. And if they couldn't or didn't, I felt very abandoned. And being alone for a year has meant that when those difficult feelings came, and they definitely did, there was no one to hand them to. I had to sit with them, I had to feel them, I had to let them kind of move through me. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm some sort of Zen master now. I am absolutely not. I've spent genuinely concerning amounts of time on the floor, putting my legs up the wall, or disappearing into an entire TV series in one sitting. I've also had days where I was so lonely that I just completely withdrew from the world. But here's what surprised me. I actually got better at it. I learned that feelings really do pass, even when no one else is there to witness them or hold them for you. And I think whenever I'm in a relationship again, I'll be so much better at being able to build something healthy because I won't be asking someone to do a job that really only I can do. The second thing is more practical, but it's changed everything. Being alone has made me bold. It's made me realize that I can do hard things, not because I'm naturally a fearless person, but because I really had no other choice. Do I still cry after getting an important phone call in Portuguese and barely understanding anything even 10 months in? Yes, more often than I like to admit. But I've also figured out the bureaucracy, the visa process, and how to exist in a system that really was not designed for me or for anyone, to be honest. And after only about 3 or 4 meltdowns, I count this as a win. Every week something uncomfortable shows up for me, and somehow I get through it because there's no one else here to do it for me. Of course, I would love to share the load sometimes. Of course, it would be nice to have someone else to help me solve problems, but I'm not afraid of nearly as many things anymore because I have confidence that I can kind of cope on my own. And every difficult thing that I faced this year, I survived it. And that's a data point. And after a while, and after enough data points, enough evidence, you can start to trust yourself. The third thing, and this one took me a while to notice, is that for most of my life I've been really hyper-focused on other people's needs, what they were feeling, what I could do to make things better, and somewhere along the way I really stopped paying attention to what I needed. Living alone meant that there was no one else's needs in the room, just mine. And at first this was surprisingly disorienting. I didn't even know what I wanted half the time, and I would get really bad like decision fatigue and paralysis about what I should do. And to be honest, I'd never really asked myself much about what I needed. And slowly I started actually listening to myself. I noticed when I was sad and actually supported myself through it rather than pushing my feelings aside because someone else's seemed more important. And I started taking care of myself in ways that I guess weren't performative or for anyone else to see, just for me. And the unexpected side effect of that is that it's made setting boundaries so much easier. I notice who feels good to be around and who doesn't. I notice when someone takes more energy maybe than they actually give. And now I can actually do something about it, which is honestly really new for me. And I know this will really change how I show up in my next relationship too, because I won't be showing up as someone who's kind of lost herself in the other person. I'll be showing up as someone who knows exactly who she is. The fourth thing, and And I want to be really honest about this next one because I think people don't talk about it enough. Living alone and being single has meant confronting some real loneliness. I've heard people say a lot, alone but not lonely, and sometimes I kind of agree, but a lot of the time I've had to sit with this really deep sense of aloneness. There's this thought that I get, and I kind of hope I'm not the only one, that if something happened to me, nobody would know for days. And I know that sounds dramatic, but it's a very real anxiety for me living alone. And sometimes it makes me wonder, like, do I even exist if no one's witnessing my life? If no one's actually asking me how my day was and actually meaning it? And it really reminds me of that saying of like, if a tree falls in a forest, but nobody is there to see it or hear it, has it really happened? And that's how I feel about my life. Like, has it really happened if no one's witnessed it? And I don't have a neat resolution for this feeling, but I have worked on it really, really hard. And honestly, I think it's quite a rational fear. And what's changed is that I don't let myself kind of get swept away by it anymore. I've kind of accepted that if the fear comes up sometimes, when it does, I know how to move through it. I might meditate or write poetry or go for a walk, lie on the floor, again, escape into a good TV series or even a good book. And the things I talked about at the beginning, they actually work. Not perfectly, but enough to kind of get me through those loneliest moments. Brings me to the fifth thing that I've learned. Something that's really shifted massively is my friendships. And this year, my female friendships have become a lifeline. Having strong, supportive women in my life, even if they're not all physically here in Portugal, has meant everything to me. I've also become really grateful for the small daily connections that I have here. My neighbors who say bon dia every day, the people at the cafes, the shops I visit regularly, those tiny moments of being seen, even just for a second, make me feel really rooted. And I think that's maybe the antidote to that kind of tree falling in the forest feeling or fear. Maybe I don't need one person to witness my whole life. Maybe it's enough to have a web of small connections that together make me feel really held and seen. So I've talked about the things that I've learned, but there are also things about being single and living alone that I absolutely hate. And I think it's really important to say this out loud because some of the content around this feels to me like a little bit toxic positivity, as if you just love yourself enough, you'll never kind of need anybody else. And for me, that just isn't true. And I'm not really sure it's true for most human beings. I miss sharing my day with someone. I miss hearing about their day, the boring things, the annoying things, the things that made them laugh, the things that made me laugh, and sharing that. I miss feeling deeply connected to someone, feeling seen and known, and for a really long time I tried to kind of gloss over that. I wanted to be the woman who can do everything for herself, kind of like Miley Cyrus, I can buy myself flowers, if you know, you know. But after a year of this, my conclusion is no. Self-love is important, but it's really not enough for me. I have an inbuilt need for connection, and I think most of us do. And at this point, both of my cats are completely sick of me recounting my day to them. And then there are the chores. Oh my God, the chores. I have discovered that I have some seriously deep-rooted issues with the nature of reality, and often things really don't feel real. But nothing makes existence feel more surreal than the endless cycle of chores. Buying groceries, cooking meals, washing dishes, cleaning the apartment, buying groceries, cooking meals, washing dishes, cleaning the apartment. It just goes on and on. I wish I was the kind of person who found this meditative and beautiful. I really do. And I genuinely love cooking, but I really miss sharing these things. I miss sharing chores, sharing meals, sharing the weight of the day. And there's something about doing it all alone, day after day, that makes me stop and think, is this it? Is this really what we're doing again? And finally, I miss thinking about the future with somebody. Being single has helped me a lot to become really present and grateful, and I'm really happy about that. But I also love dreaming with somebody about the future, their aspirations, that shared vision of a life together, maybe the idea of a family, of children. And I found it harder to imagine my own future since being single. I think this is partly because I'm genuinely really content with my life right now, but partly I think it's because I miss having this sort of shared vision of what's next. So these are some of the things that I've learned over the last year of living alone, and what's changed most is that I can hold both of these things at once. I can love this season of my life, I can learn to trust rest myself, regulate my own emotions, enjoy the space and stillness of living alone, and take care of myself really deeply. But I can also miss being in a relationship, miss being known, miss sharing the ordinary moments or everyday life with someone that I love. And honestly, I think that's exactly where I'm supposed to be right now, in this in-between space, and not pretending that both parts don't exist and not letting them erase everything that I've gained through the process. But I would love to know, have you ever lived alone, or are you single right now? What has it taught you about yourself? Have you ever had that tree falling in the forest feeling? Reading your stories is honestly one of my favorite parts of making these videos. It reminds me that none of us are actually alone in this process of life that we're on, even when it feels like we are. Thank you so much for watching, sending you so much love, and I'll see you in the next one.